My name's Adam Savage, and I'm at Spin VFX. This is literally where the magic happens. Let's peel aside the curtain and see what they've got to show us.
This is the post-production office, and in post-production we have everything from visual effects to editorial. We have pre-visualization. We have temp comps. We have all the kind of stuff that you put on the screen after we've shot. So as we get footage and we want to see what things are kind of going to look like ahead of time, Paul and Mark do that work.
So are they building like virtual sets so that you can see how the camera shots might move through the set, or doing also compositing of exterior shots and stuff
More
like that?
often it's a bit like the exterior spacecraft, because those are the kind of the blank holes for us after we shoot.
Yeah.
You cut together a show and maybe 15-20% of it doesn't have anything because it's all computer generated.
Yeah.
So we have to put together previs so that when the editors work, they've got something to actually use.
Well, and for you guys, it's on most science fiction stuff, space is just the thing that's outside the ship, but for you guys, space is one of the characters in the show, so there's a lot of time spent outside the ships being in the solar system.
It's one of the things that is the most difficult to actually film, quote unquote film, even I'm talking in CG terms, because there's nothing to judge speed or scale against. In space, stars are millions of light years away, so a spacecraft could be going 75,000 kilometers an hour.
And nothing behind it
is moving. Exactly.
So you guys, have you developed a library of tricks to use, like the engine blast and other things in proximity to kind of tell those stories?
Yes, very much. So we do get like little engine burps, and one of the things that we found that works really, really, really well is we use long lenses. A long lens is something that's a really telephoto type lens, a long telephoto type lens, so like a 1500 millimeter lens. And rather than following what you can do in computer animation, automatically following something, we don't. We hand animate to try to keep up with it, so to get a handheld
a
feel.
verite style.
Exactly.
And do I remember that you also play with focus sometimes? Like it's
Very
almost
much.
difficult to keep stuff in
Correct,
focus.
exactly. Yeah, you got that. One of the things that some of my VFX vendors do that is very, very clever is they'll just take something like an iPhone and shoot whatever, it doesn't matter whatever, with their iPhone. And then they take that footage into the software and they extract the camera motion out of it and use that data. They reverse engineer the camera motion and apply that actual data to a CG shot to get a real handheld feel to it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's very genius.
Really cool.
Yeah. So once we get all the footage, after we filmed on set, obviously it has to be all edited together. And we're lucky here at, we're shooting at Pinewood Studios. We have very few location days. Everything is just on the sound stages off to the side. So Steve is editing episodes 1, 4, 7, 10.
13.
And 13. Wow. Steve's editing a lot of episodes.
So when you guys are doing previs, that also helps you edit. Do you use that for cutting the pace of the show?
Oh, absolutely. You can't guess. It could be, this may take 4 seconds or 5. If you've got a previs, you can drop it in and they can work from that. So if it's going to work.
You could also come back to them and say, this previs should be longer because
exactly that. Yeah,
Right,
this
right.
is too slow, too fast.
How long does it take you to cut an episode? How much time do they give you?
Not enough. We get about 5 days after they finish shoot, then the director comes in for 4 days, I think it is.
Wow.
And then the changes begin.
Do you find working in television makes you better at working in film, or vice versa? I mean, they have very different schedules and very different production pipelines.
And film makes me better in television because television today is like film. It's so cinematic.
Right. They expect it to be.
They expect it to be cinematic, exactly. So yeah, I know sometimes I get a reputation of being a film guy, and people go, no, you got to pump it through faster because it's only TV. But the audience doesn't think it's just TV. The expectations from the audience are extremely high, and they want to see a 44-minute film every week. This is the unheralded group of editorial. You got Michael, David, and Anna. These are our assistant editors. Michael's our visual effects editor. David and Anna are our assistant editors. And these are the guys that have to go through never-ending footage and sort it and put it into bins and get it all ready for the editors. So the editors really, I'm not going to let Steve hear me say this, but the editors have got it easy. These guys do all the heavy lifting. Digital is cheap. So they just keep our directors just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. And not only that, but sometimes we have to go into previous episodes to find something that might work for a future episode, or even
Right.
into last season to find something that might work for this season because we're missing
right.
that story point. We don't want to reshoot or go back to set with this character, or a character's been wrapped, and we go, oh, well, do we have something like just a reaction from them
my God.
that we can use?
So
these
their
guys-
brains are like hard drives holding thousands of hours of
That's
footage.
exactly it. We have two hard drives here in terms of all the footage, and another hard drive over here in terms of the visual effects.
Oh my gosh.
It's just it's insane how much data these guys have to retain.
So then nothing ever gets thrown out. It can all be recycled.
Totally. Completely.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I hadn't thought about that, but like on a set, of course you're going to recycle. You might buy a handle from the hardware store and change it and then use this for another set. But in here too, you're also maybe an effect shot that doesn't get used in one episode might end up in another one.
Correct. So it's just that kind of stuff that goes on in this room. These guys are the real heroes of the editorial department as far as I'm concerned.
Excellent. Bob, what are we looking at? It's an
There
asteroid, right?
are many things that we could imagine this being, but this is the asteroid Eros,
Okay.
and it really does look like this. Tycho has gotten very famous for spinning up asteroids so that people can inhabit them. So you spin them, and they get spin gravity.
Right.
These are hangars where spacecraft fly in. There are mining structures, and in our show, as you can see here, there's a lot of data, a lot of detail that's been put on the surface of the asteroid. But this is one of the earlier asteroids that they inhabited, that they spun up. So this one is kind of derelict. It's actually very derelict compared to some of the other asteroids that we spun up in the show.
But you've gone to the trouble to build all these structures on here, these cities, these ways in which it's part of the narrative plot, and then you've got to render them for the different shots and for the different pieces that it's going to show up in the show.
Correct. What you're seeing right now, this is called a grayscale or gray shaded version of this. There are textures that are applied to this. There's lighting that's applied to it, and when it all gets finished and into a really presentable form, it's actually quite a beautiful looking asteroid. Right now, like I said, it looks a little.
Looks like a potato.
Yeah, that's what we get. That's
Not a
what we'll
potato
call it.
I'd eat, but a potato.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is another location that we have this season. I mentioned Tycho before. Tycho Station is one of Tycho's construction stations. And this is the interior of Tycho. So this is a hallway. The set extensions that they're doing here at Spin continues it along into curved space.
But more than that, the drawing that has been done here can be used as a guide for the construction you guys do in the real world so that the two can be matched up
Very
later.
much so. Very much. Absolutely.
Cool. This looks somewhat familiar.
This does. This is Tycho. We just saw the actual the grayscale model of it a couple of minutes ago. So Masa is doing lighting on this right now to try and get the same sort of feel and tone that is critical for doing a set extension successfully.
And are you supplying her with pictures of the actual set that she can go and match and lighting positions? Okay.
I was gonna say no,
there
she
you
had to
go.
imagine it, but then she just ruined it for herself. Yes, obviously that when we shoot on the real set, all that footage comes into here, and they're able to use that to match the lighting, match the look. But in addition to that, we go in and scan all of these sets using LiDAR, and we get photographs of them. So we get the real materials, the real look, the real color, and those scans are used in the asset department to give us an asset that's usable for set extension.
And then there's atmosphere also that gets layered in and other
Correct.
almost invisible things that help tie it together.
Yes, there's depth of field, so out of focus the further away it gets from the lens,
Right.
You've got other lens aberrations that are added that you would see in a real camera lens.
Oh, so if you're doing a set extension, you actually know exactly what kind of lens you're using, and you're rendering it to that lens.
Correct.
As if it's
if we used a 35 millimeter lens on the set, we're using a 35 millimeter lens in the computer. And as you can see here, there's a work in progress
right.
of
There's-
how
I see
it's
the
extended in the
extension
background.
happening.
So
Oh,
what
that's so cool.
What you were seeing before was the blue screen that they were in front of
Right.
on the end of this set, and now you're seeing the actual the 3D set extension that Masa has lit and
Right,
we've
I
dropped
see.
into
You
the
haven't
shot.
built a curve into the actual set, but you didn't need to.
Didn't need to
it's
because
such a wide.
but it curves into the digital set,
Sure.
the digital extension. So there you go. There's lighting and a shot that's pretty much a finished.
Amazing.
Finished
It's,
set extension.
you'd never know that it was an extension. It's
Yep.
just perfectly done.
Yeah, they do that very well here at Spin.
All right, I'm looking at the surface of a planet or planetoid. Is it Mars?
It is Mars.
Excellent.
Good guess. This is a shot that was conceived by our first block director, Breck Eisner, and he wanted to have this really big, wide shot. There's a battle going on. This is kind of the scene that introduced our new, very, very important character this year. Mm-hmm. And the idea was to finish off with a live action version of our character, but lead into it with a completely digital CG character.
Wow.
So this is Bobby Draper, digitally recreated, running across this surface.
Being generally badass.
Being generally badass, exactly. Okay. This gun pops up and tries to take her out and doesn't have any success. So
this is the rough on the left.
Yeah, this is previs.
That's previs. And
correct.
then this is what it should.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to the finished version here. Wow. So we get into now a little bit more refined animation.
We started off with just getting a run cycle down.
Is that motion capture?
No. This is keyframe
animation.
But we used a lot of the actor's reference in some of the other shots of how she was running in order to get the nuances and stuff. This is all still. This was a match move that we did of the actor when she went down for the crouch.
Right.
Just in case, so we could pick a frame where we could transition from our digital character into the live action character.
Is that nerve-wracking, that final frame transition?
It depends. If it's a crash zoom, anything that's a very quick movement, it's very easy to go from digi-double into actor.
Sure.
If it's a subtle slow move, that's when you've got to be spot on.
How long did you spend on a shot like this?
A shot like this, like just working on the run cycle, just to get it down to be the same kind of run, would take about just under a week, and then a few more days just to sweeten up the animation. So
when you're done, are you like, thank God I never have to look at that again?
And then we move on to the next one.
And then right to the next one.
And you got to keep in mind, that's just for the animation. That doesn't include the lighting. That doesn't include the texturing. That doesn't include the building of the asset in the first place. That doesn't include the compositing. Like, that's just pure animation.
Wow. And then there's rendering and wow, that's
so
incredible.
Shots like this are extremely time-consuming, very labor-intensive. They're not inexpensive by any stretch of the imagination, and they look fantastic. And you will see the finished shot coming up in a couple of minutes.
Amazing. All right, so we're at another phase of the same shot.
This is now effects animation.
Now I see what looks like a beautiful explosion. Am I correct? This is a completely digital explosion?
This is what the nerds were doing inside while you were outside blowing stuff up. But it's still fun. The same principles apply. You have to provide a fuel source, temperature, you have to set real world parameters. All of that stuff applies, and then you start to get stuff that goes boom.
Oh, wow.
This isn't perfect here, but we can see what our compositing artist did. If I can find the end of this shot. So you can see it gives you an explosion in a setup where it would be, too darn dangerous to have anything there, and you could do it in a second take. That may not quite work. The nice thing about that is you get all the fidelity too. You can dial in really individual things. If I want, a slightly different fall off on the fire, you can deal with that stuff. Whereas in the real world, I'm guessing it's a little bit more of the
spray and pray.
Yeah, which works too.
That's our digital Bobby Draper running along here, and of course everything else is digital. And then we transition into the live environment with the live Bobby Draper.
Right. Okay, so that was bang. There's live.
So our transition is there.
Jeez, crow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice that it's on a slight move.
Exactly.
And that helps hide the transition.
It hides the transition.
So this is what I love about this whole industry, is the way in which it's like a magic trick.
Yeah.
It's not misdirection, but it's attention management.
Yeah, exactly.
It's keeping people, the narrative is that something's being shot at her and she dodges it. That's the only thing you should be concerned
That's exactly it. It's a little bit of look over here.
Right.
Look over here.
That's
great. And it works, But even there's more effects simulation in here. The rocks falling off of the gun as it pops out of the surface of the hill. All those rocks tumbling and falling off. Those are all digital rocks.
Now I notice I'm not seeing shockwave come out across the ground from the explosion. I'm just going to tell you, as an expert in explosions.
That probably would be there. Now, I will say we did have that element in there. It's all a matter of taste how much of that ends up in here. So you can see there's a little bit of a dust wave.
That's a dust wave, but prior to the dust wave, there's
You get a concussive
you get a
blast
concussive
towards
blast, right? A perfectly circular
Yeah.
concussive blast.
That's the kind of thing we'll usually fake in compositing, because rather than having somebody as talented and handsome as me spend my time setting that up because it's over in 2 frames, we can get a compositor to do some paint work, do some camera shake, and that may or may not happen with this one. We'll have to see how it goes.
Very cool.
I'm going to come give notes on your next show. That was a damn good note. Screw you.
Okay, it's getting, every time we get to a new station, things are getting more and more filled in. It's really awesome.
Tell us what you're doing.
This is map painting, so we're responsible pretty much for any 2D environment work, whether that's building an environment entirely from the ground up in Photoshop or augmenting a 3D set extension or environment or thing like that. So what we have here is the Mars Trench, where we have kind of a combat sequence go on. And so essentially we have taken this plate that was shot on a backlot and augmented and replaced all that background with more of Jordanian desert, Mars, kind of arid rock formation.
Are you using Jordanian desert as reference material, or actually even grabbing pieces of pictures and putting them in there?
Oh yeah, nice little photo references is always the perfect detail to help sell a map painting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, especially with rock formations like this.
Yeah.
It's almost something you can't dream of.
This is a parking lot
Yes.
with a rubble field next
Yeah.
to it. That's, those are power lines. That's a building. That all has to go away. This has to be built up. I mean, this was shot, this incredibly complex scene that introduces a brand new character to the series in the 2nd season, shot on a gravel parking lot, and it becomes Mars.
It's totally incredible. So you clearly have to rotoscope her out of the background that you've got here. You're using basically just a little bit of this and this.
Correct. That's
Wow.
right. Yeah. Again, hands-on labor. It's just meticulously painstaking and precision work.
So I know that sometimes when you're doing something like this, you're solving problems, but sometimes some are just, you're letting them sit and kind of gestate for a while.
Yeah.
Do you get to almost to the end of a shot like this and realize, oh my God, I totally didn't realize I left this big thing out, or I got this one thing wrong?
Yeah. That's why it's great to have a VFX producer look at it on the big screen and really catch all the stuff that you stop seeing after a certain number of hours looking at a shot.
I imagine. Yeah, it looks great.
Thanks.
Okay, so compositing. We're close to the end of everything being put together, right?
That's right. Sometimes, version 1 or 2 or 3 will say, that's good. Sometimes notes come back again and again and again, and it could be, version 27, version 48
Wow.
by the time we say that's perfect in our
So
mind.
compositing is when all the different elements, the character animation, the real footage, the 2D, the 3D is all brought together. And does that mean that it's not just thrown all into the same pile, it's all sort of adjusted so that it meshes together, right?
Very much, yeah.
Okay.
You render everything in layers, so you don't the computer doesn't just take a scene and render it all and go, yep, that's it. So you render the background, you render the character, you render a highlight pass, you render a shadow pass, you render all these different elements.
And then to save time, you're also not rendering things you can't see.
Correct. Okay. Exactly. And then all the stuff that has been rendered by the computer comes into the compositing department, and they layer all together, balancing color, depth of field, saturation, balancing shadows, balancing highlights, just to make sure it all feels very, very photographic when it's finished.
So this is actually really tricky, because you could look at a shot and be like, it doesn't look right, but I can't figure out why it doesn't look right.
Happens all the time.
Oh.
But I will say that there have been shots on many shows that I've done where I've gotten a call from people very, very high up at a studio and going, that shot just looks so fake. And it's sometimes, it's satisfying, but also kind of scary to have to say, that one is completely real. We didn't do a thing to it. Get that all the time. And it's like, they're looking at that going, how is that possible? I go, it is. That's not a visual effects shot. And it's, it's a very, tedious process, I can say, but one that is very, very satisfying, because at the end of this, we do take this into sound and into color timing, and we have at that point kind of a finished, a finished show.
We're almost ready to see this shot.
We are ready to see this shot. I mean, we're ready to see the whole sequence, I think.
Let's.
Why don't we go do that?
I'm dying to see it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I've seen it. All right, so we're going to take a look at this little Mars sequence.
And this is how this works. You come here and view the final assemblies here and make your notes.
That's correct.
I mean, I imagine that it must be a real ass kicker sometimes.
Oh yeah, and especially when you've seen like 30 versions or 35 versions of the same shot, you're seeing again and again and again.
You lose
and
the ability. It's
yeah.
like saying the same word over and over.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it means anymore.
Yeah, and so when Noreen and I finally say, that's done, it's finished, it's such a happy moment, it's such a happy time. But I can say that, we, much to the chagrin of, I'm sure, everybody here at Spin and any of my other VFX vendors, we've never said, yeah, that's fine, we'll just move on. We just keep pushing back and pushing back and pushing back.
Nonetheless, there still must be gradations of doneness.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
Is there a time when you've gone, that's good, let's do it, let's lock it, and then you saw it later and were like, actually, it's better than I remember?
Without a doubt.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's shows that I've worked on, movies that I've worked on like 15, 20 years ago where I look at it, I thought for sure they would not hold up to the test of time. And I look at it and went, oh, wow, this is better than I ever remembered it being.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that does happen.
All right, so you've met a bunch of the persons that put this sequence together, and you've seen that it takes hundreds of person hours to make a sequence like this work. Now we're about to see it all put together. Oh, nice POV.
You on this credit.
3-4 Olympus 612. Your best course time by almost 3 minutes. Good work, Gunny.
Hey, nice job, kid.
Turn to the drop.
You wait until you see our next run, Lieutenant. The skies will be crying just to please us.
No more next runs, Gunny. You're shipping out. Rumor is you're heading to Phoebe Station, so say your goodbyes and kiss your babies. It's gonna be a long trip.
Nice.
My concern is that next year they're only going to give me a partial parking lot to shoot in. It's like, as opposed to a full parking lot.
Right. That's what it's going to look
Yes,
like.
someday.
Nice.
Someday. So that's, the general shape. It's still a week or two away from being completely finished. You're going to see some shots in there that were works in progress.
Yeah.
But this is what, I do. I come in and look at these shots again and again and again, and they work on it, ad infinitum, and then we, within a few more days, this will be a finished sequence, and then it goes into sound and color timing, and you'll see it on a screen in January.
I'm jealous. It looks like a really fun job.
It is a fun job. I've got the best job.
Thanks, Bob.
You're very welcome, Adam. It's been a pleasure.